What is going on, Rugby Rundown fans? Alex Corbisiero and Will Hooley back for a special edition of the Rundown. We've got a little bit of a red, white, and blue theme here, Will. Lots to talk about. Let's let our audience know what they got in store.
Yes, welcome to the Rugby Rundown special USA Eagles men's squad announcement here live on the Rugby Network. We will be joined by head coach himself, Scott Lawrence, to talk it all. But Corbs, what a privilege, what an honour to be able to announce the names, all the forwards and the backs that will be going out there this July for USA Games. And of course, looking ahead to that August 22nd, that's the big one,
the showdown
against Canada in the Rugby World Cup Qualifier. So yeah, we're really privileged to do this, man. It's pretty cool.
It's very, very special. Huge thank you to USA Rugby for trusting us with this amazing honour and privilege. We will not disappoint, and hopefully this is the beginning of a lot of more cool specials as we move forward in this rugby landscape media together, Will.
Yes, man, we're trying. Well, look, let's get straight into it because I know that a lot of people out there will just want to know who is in the squad. So over to Mr. Alex Corbisiero. He's going to take us through their Type 5 names.
Well, let's go. Drum roll, please. So, first up at prop, we have Ezekiel Lindenmuth from the Houston SaberCats. Next up at prop, we have Jack Iscaro from Old Glory DC. Next up at prop, we have Pono Davis from the Houston SaberCats. Again at prop, we have Peyton Talea from the San Diego Legion. Then we have Tonga Kofe from the Utah Warriors at prop. And then prop hooker hybrid, we have Caleb Geiger from the New England Free Jacks. At hooker, we have Capelli Pifoletti from Provence Rugby. At hooker, we have Shiloh Klein from the San Diego Legion. At lock, Sam Goller from Anthem. At lock, Tavita Nakali from Old Glory DC. At lock, Mana Redlinghuis from the Houston SaberCats. And at lock, Billy Helu from the San Diego Legion.
There you go. That is your Type 5 for the USA squad. How about, though, the back row?
Well, let's continue. So starting at flanker, we have Christian Poidevin from the San Diego Legion. Then at flanker, we have Corey Daniel from Old Glory DC. At flanker, we have Jameson Fanana Schultz from Old Glory DC. At flanker, we have Makeen Alikan from Anthem. At number 8, we have Benjamin Bonasso from Miami Sharks. And at number 8, we have Thomas Caceres from Miami Sharks.
There you go. That is your forwards for the Eagles. Congratulations.
Congratulations, lads. Well deserved.
To all of them. But now let's head over to the playmakers, to the fast guys, to the powerhouses. It's the backs, starting with the halfbacks. At scrum half is JP Smith from Seattle Seawolves. The other scrum half is Ruben De Haas from Nola Gold. At fly half is AJ McGinty from the Bristol Bears. Fly half, Chris Hilsenbeck from Chicago Hounds. And at fly half / centre, playing that hybrid, is Thomas Pittman from Chartres Rugby. Now across to the rest of the backs. At centre is Dominic Bassag from St Mary's College. Eric Storti from Anthem. Tavita Lepetti from San Diego Legion. Luina Futi from Seattle Seawolves. Nate Osberger from Chicago Hounds. Noah Brown from Chicago Hounds. Rufus McLean from Houston SaberCats. Mitch Wilson from Anthem. And finishing it off, Toby Fricker from Anthem. There you go. We've done it. Congratulations.
Well done, Eagles 2025. Very proud of you. Congratulations, Scott Lawrence. Good luck. We are behind these boys.
Well, talking of Scott Lawrence, Corbs, it is the perfect time to now get on the main man, the head coach himself, for the USA Eagles. We need to talk it all, ask some questions, get some reaction from those names we've just announced. We talk to Scott. Scott Lawrence, thank you so much for joining us here on the Rugby Rundown special. Your squad that you've picked alongside your coaches. How excited are you now that MLR's coming to an end and USA Test matches are on the horizon?
Yeah, I'm not very excited that the MLR is ending. It's been it's been an awesome season and a lot of parity and a competitive season. So I'm not ready for that to end. I'm enjoying the games every week. But this is why we do this, is we get a chance to test ourselves at the highest level, and that's international rugby. So we're ready. The players are excited. The staff is excited. It's been a really good planning period, and now we're ready to put the rubber on the road, so to speak.
Just before Corbs asks a few questions about that forward pack, I do want to ask, though, in terms of, obviously, it's the summer games coming up. So we got on July 5th against Belgium, July 12th against Spain, and July 19th against England. August 22nd, though, is the game against Canada for the Rugby World Cup qualification. This squad, is this very much the squad that is going to take you all the way through that?
We pick based on performance. So whatever we think the squad is to give us the best chance of winning the game, we'll pick those for the individual test matches. So one thing that's at the core of our values is competition. And so, to say we're going to just pick a squad and that's going to be it, and through August, goes against our competitive nature in the team and what we live on. So we'll keep it open, we'll keep it competitive, and we'll pick the best team for each game.
Well, Scott, let's talk the forwards, and probably for you, it's a bit of some new faces in there, especially at tight head. What were some of the dynamics or challenges or sort of a bit of the story behind the selection when you looked at the forwards?
I think the big thing is we wanted the forwards to go forward more. And I know that's kind of a joke, but I think we really looked for guys who are destructive throughout the course of the year, in the way that they played the game, and that was a big thing that we really focused on. I think if you look at some of these guys, there was a point in the Utah NOLA game at Utah when Tonga Kofi showed just how explosive he really can be at scrum time. And immediately you just kind of go, yeah, that's interesting. That's what we're looking for. So, there's a lot of that in there. You look at guys in the type 5 like Marno Redelinghuis, the War Machine. That guy just goes forward. We're excited to have him in the mix this year as well.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think Tonga Kofi has been a revelation for you, and I think probably came about just the right time. Paul Mullen sort of stepping away from international rugby, Alex Morn injured, no David Anuhu, like all of that adding up, and then what a blessing the MLR is to allow you to provide a conveyor of some of these players, from Pono Davis, who's still in his infancy from that transition from football to rugby. We now add Tonga in, and as well you have other exciting players like Ezekiel Lindenmuth to add to the group, who come with some Super Rugby experience as well. And how excited is that to sort of, you've got very dynamic players in that group now. You just got to sort of build them into a set piece machine.
The Pono Davis from November of 2024 is not the Pono Davis of today. He's a changed player, and really a lot of credit goes to Pote Human and the Houston staff down there. They brought him along tremendously. So he's been great. I think, like you said, Ezekiel, he's a guy, destructive scrummager, nearly 70% on his gain line carries. Like he's a beast. So it's good to
and
have
he's a
him
banger indeed too. Gives you a bit more bang for your buck as well.
Exactly. So nice mix there, I think, in that front row, especially at loose head. You've got Jack, who's a really strong scrummager. Also gives us some jackal and some ball playing ability in the front row, and Ezekiel does what he does. And then, as you know, Peyton is, he would ball in hand, and his scrummaging has come along thanks to you, Corbs.
Yeah, he's a prospect. He's a prospect, which I think will keep coming to fruition for you. Obviously, I'm going to get to the back row quickly, but last question as well is only 2 hookers, and then you have Caleb Geiger as your hybrid tight head hooker sort of cover. It's pretty valuable to have someone with that sort of ability.
Yeah, it's really, with Alex Mon being injured, Alex can play 1, 2, or 3 at the test level, and Caleb being able to play both positions is good. And I think he's the right size for the international hooker, being able to move over from tight head and gives us a lot of that that size we're looking for in the front row.
He gives you that go forward too, mate. He's like Brock Lesnar for me out there on the field. He's our Brock Lesnar. But let's look at the back row. And obviously, you know, quite a few returnees. But for me, Christian Poitevin, someone who's been a standout in the MLR for a number of seasons, finally committed to Eagles colours, and you know, excited to have a look at a player like that on the horizon of, you know, a big year leading into World Cup qualification.
Yeah, you know, Christian's a great one. There's a tremendous competition in the back row. So there are really a lot of back row players in the league and available to us. And we looked at Christian and I just thought, you know, this guy's going to show us something. You just kind of get a gut feeling about a player, and you know, and that one.
I got the feeling.
You know.
Yeah, so, I feel it. I got the same feeling. We're on the same vibe.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna jump up to the next level. I just got a gut feeling on that, and I'm looking forward to seeing him compete with the other guys in the environment.
And then probably someone obviously returning in, Benjamin Bonasso. He's had a fantastic year at Miami. He's really, I thought this year was the best season I've ever seen him play
as well.
Yeah, and really a gross season for him. Excited to have him in that club as well.
Yeah, we've been trying to get Benha back in the mix for a little while. You know, he's unfortunate last year with injury. But, you know, he started to show enormous leadership potential with New York, the Ironworkers back in the day. When we did some of our analysis of peer-to-peer feedback, his leadership and his impact on the squad was massive and really respected by his Eagle teammates. So we're excited to have him back, not only for his playing ability, but for his no-nonsense leadership.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a big forward pack right there.
Yeah, I'll put a hold on the questions. I got about 80 more, but I'll save them for another day.
Let's move on to the backs. But before we do move on to the backs, Scott, I think it'd be really interesting to gauge from you, because I know you go through a lot of data, a lot of video prep, but how do you pick this squad? Is there a sort of formula that you and the coaches look at?
I think it's a continuous review process. So we don't wait until the end. We don't wait for all the data. We let everybody play for 4 or 5 weeks, see where they're going to shape out in the season, who's going to get, you know, the bare minimum is minutes. They got to be playing so we can see them, right? So that's where some of the data comes in. And then it's a review each week. And then as we get kind of 3-4 weeks out, we start looking at the makeup of the squad and what we need in terms of skill sets and complementary skill sets to play the way we want to play. And so it's always a mix, you know, it's a bit of art and science, as they say, you know, and the data is, you just look at it. The map is not the territory. You just look at it as part of the process, but ultimately we pick the players we think are going to work together and fit, help us win.
Now, let's talk about the halfbacks, your real playmakers in there. There's a couple of noticeable names, and two guys who are in there, like an AJ McGinty. Fully understand, obviously, his leadership coming off Bristol Bears, the Premiership. You've gone for JP Smith and Ruben De Haas, but I'm going to come straight to you with the other number 10s in there, and Chris Hilsenbeck from Chicago Hounds, and then Thomas Pittman, who we don't probably know a lot about here in the US at Chartres. I think I probably pronounced that wrong, but in Fédéral 1 in France. Can you tell us a little bit about those two new players that may be getting their first caps?
Yeah, Chris has been the find of the season for Chicago, you know, and you know, we had seen him play in Atlanta before, but I think he really unlocked what they were trying to achieve there this year. And he's an experienced guy, a good communicator. We thought it was important that we had that experience to back AJ up and have somebody who's a really good communicator. Now, Tom's interesting as well because he plays 10-12. He's a 88% goal kicker. And, you know, he by having a 12 that also plays 10, again, we wanted to make sure we had good communication and connection amongst the back line. And you're right. I mean, I think the thing is Tom's been playing abroad. Next year he'll be in the MLR, which will be great. Playing for the Anthem. And
there you go.
And so we're going to find out how he goes as well.
Just a couple of names that probably maybe USA fans have used to be seeing. Someone like Luke Carty misses out, and then also someone like maybe Ethan McVeigh. I'm assuming it was obviously a tight decision there, but nonetheless, what's your reasons behind that?
I think with Luke, he had he had a point in the July series where he couldn't make it, and so we didn't want to disrupt the squad. That was part of it. That doesn't take anything away from Chris. Chris has been playing well. That was neck and neck there. So Karts isn't completely out of the mix. He'll be considered again for August, depending on how we go in July. Yeah, Ethan, unfortunately for Ethan, he just didn't get a lot of the playing time that we were looking for this year. And that's part of it is, we need guys to be playing minutes, and we've been pretty clear. Meaningful minutes is important. And, so that's, unfortunately for Ethan, that's where he fell out.
Let's go to the rest of the back line then. A couple of questions I've got is there's someone who's going to be, hopefully, again, making a fresh appearance, being a newly capped player in Rufus McLean. He's become US eligible, playing for Houston SaberCats. Has gone really well in sort of the winger role and then the fullback role as well. Again, just from you, was that one of excitement of bringing him in?
I think generally across the outside backs, we really looked. One of the objectives we wanted to do was increase the team speed overall from 2024 to 2025. And when you look at a guy that runs 10.4 meters per second and immediately is played a high level of rugby, you kind of go, yeah, that's a guy that helps us achieve that. So it's good to have him in the mix there. This year, I think that's a huge one. The other guy I'm really excited about is having Ina Futi back. Ina, he was out last year. He's worked his way back into the squad and is playing really well. He's starting to really grow his game. His IQ is coming up there at Seattle. So we're excited to have Ina back in the mix.
Now, last question I've probably got on this back line is a lot of those names are there from before in a very successful November tour. Nate Orsberger hasn't played a lot of rugby this year, obviously through injuries, through suspension. I know what he offers as a leader. But there's two names, one that I've been shouting about. I'll be interested to hear your perspective in terms of Peyton Wall, the young rookie at Chicago Hounds. And then I think a lot of Eagles fans want to know the story behind Joe Mano, obviously the leading try scorer in Major League Rugby, has had a very successful season with Utah. So yeah, there's those couple of names who maybe some people might have thought might have been in, and equally maybe a couple of names that people might have thought might have replaced, for example.
Yeah, no, I think Peyton is on the right track. He's in, he'll be in the reserve group for the July Test Series. I mean, we have to just balance these things with, he's played 4 professional games, right? So, in terms of an Eagles selection, it's, he's
I got excited.
This is what I tried to say to Will, mate.
I got excited. I'm just trying to build the young stuff.
It's a new toy and he gets too excited.
He is on the absolute right track, and
100%.
He's got a lot going for him, and we've got a plan for him going forward. That's for sure. I think with Joe, I reached out to Joe earlier in the year. He came back and said, "I'm not going to be in the country," and if you're not in the country, you can't help the Eagles. So
fair enough.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Scott. No, we picked your brain enough, and I'm sure, thank you so much for sharing your insights and stuff. Probably last thing I'll leave you with is if you had to summarize this squad, give it a DNA, an identity for the team you've picked through this sort of July PNC window, how would you express that?
Eagle tough.
Yeah.
That's what we want, mate.
Love it. Simple. 2 words. Scott, hey, look, we appreciate you. Big games coming up, as I mentioned, in July. Of course, that one against England in DC. We're definitely looking forward to that. And the World Cup qualifier starting against Canada on August 22nd. Scott Lawrence, thank you for allowing us. We're very privileged, very honoured to announce the squad on your behalf. Good luck this summer.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Love your work.
Pretty good interview with Scott there, wasn't it? Very open, very honest. I like what we've done here. A little announcement behind the scenes. Well done, Will, for putting this together.
Well, look, big thanks to USA Rugby once again. And also thank you to the Rugby Network for hosting it all. There's some interesting names in there. You know, we talked about some of those new caps, whether it's in Lindenmuth in the front row, Coffey in the front row. You've got Nikale, and then you've got Redlingheist, and then you also got Christian Poitevin in the forwards, and then in the backs, Hilsenbeck, Pittman, and McLean. What are these guys going to offer? We shall find out.
And I liked it. You didn't hold back, mate. You pressed them a little on some of the players. I saw fair play, Will. You had to find out about your boy, Peyton.
He's destined for it. Well, look, we appreciate you joining the show.
Don't worry, Noah. I still love you.
Noah Brown is in. And those names we've just mentioned, congratulations to all of them once more. A reminder that it starts this July on July 5th against Belgium in Charlotte, July 12th against Spain in Charlotte, and then, of course, taking on England in DC, July 19th. But we've said it numerous times, August 22nd, the game against Canada for the Rugby World Cup qualification.
Gonna be a good one.
From us all here at the Rugby Rundown, myself, Will Hooley, and of course the big man, Alex Corbisiero. Good luck, USA Rugby. Thank you for letting us do this announcement from all of us of the Rugby Rundown. We'll see you later on in the week for more MLR action.